Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.
Hey guys, happy Monday. Welcome back to WagerTalk TV. This is Puck Time. We're talking some NHL betting here for this Monday slate. It is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Today we're talking about the Carolina Hurricanes as they take on the Florida Panthers, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Edmonton Oilers, the Vancouver Canucks, and the Winnipeg Jets, the Calgary Flames, the Ottawa Senators, the St. Louis Blues as they take on the Anaheim Ducks. We have Dave Cokin as our guest today, and of course, my partner in crime, Mr. Carmine Bianco. I'll throw it to you first, Carm. What's up, man? How was the weekend?
Weekend was good for the most part. I think it was a winning NHL weekend, which was good. February is over. And Andrew, I'm not going to lie. I'm really happy that February is over. January was an extremely good month for me at WagerTalk. February was wrought with potholes along the way, but we got through it. So now March, huge March ahead, and I'm looking forward to it.
Dave, what about yourself, man? You're on a really, really good run right now with both basketball and hockey combined. I'll give you a few seconds just to touch on that, but I believe there's just one loss in quite a bit of a span here in both hockey and basketball.
Yeah, the last 5 days, 5-0 in hockey and 9-1 in college basketball. And also I do golf. And I had a 20-1 winner at the Puerto Rico Open. I played 4 outrights this weekend, too, at the WGC event, one of which was Victor Hovland.
Nice.
It was tough watching him on Friday, take an 8 on the final hole. He might have won that tournament otherwise. He finished second. But I won with Brandon Grace in Puerto Rico. So that's where winning percentages can be a little bit skewed, because I went 1-3 in golf, but had a huge profit, because you got a 20-1 winner in there. So it's real good right now. And March gladness is upon us.
Yeah, Dave, that tournament yesterday, man, I actually had a small piece of Morikawa. And after you hit those kind of plays, you wish you played it a little bit bigger. But hey, otherwise, happy to get the win.
I just do 1% on golf outrights. That's plenty, because there are not many going to hit. But it is depending on the handicap you follow, winning percentages can be very misleading, because quite frankly, if I hit 10% in golf, I'm going to make a fortune because I'm playing out
100%.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
It's all about units won and lost, net units won and lost, and not winning percentage.
Speaking of nets, units, won and lost, before we get into the show, just real quick, I do quickly want to advertise. I have a 5% play going tonight. 15-5, 75%, plus over 40% ROI. My last 25% plays in the NHL, 15-5. My last 20, and that is up at WagerTalk.com for just $9. We do have a couple other great promos to get into, and we will do so as we move forward with the show. But let's start things off, guys, with the Carolina Hurricanes and the Florida Panthers. And Carm, the floor is all yours.
Yes, you'll know that. I think someone said that the best bets didn't do well last week. I think on Friday, we did post Carolina as a Saturday best bet on the show, and they were winners over this Panthers team. Listen, Andrew, when I look at this game, in all honesty, and these teams, I'm leaning to the under here. And here's a couple of talking points on this one. Both the 2 games these teams have played have been 4-3 both times, but they've needed just a ton of help in order to get there, to get to those overs. And sometimes when you look at the final numbers, you just wonder just how lucky you got on a bet. Last game finished 4-3. It was 2-0. I think it was 1-0 at the end of the first. It was 2-0 with 12 minutes left in the game. If you're sitting on an over 5.5 or an over 6, you're looking at a losing bet. But they scored 5 third period goals to get it to overtime at the end of the day. And then I'm looking at, something like, you look at the Panthers at home. They've only lost, they've never lost back-to-back games at home as of yet this early in the season. But the 4 times they have, lost back-to-back games. The 4 times they've lost a game, they've come back to win the next game, and they're all low-scoring games, all staying under the total. A couple 2-1 games, a 3-1 game, and a 3-2 game. So with that said, I think there's only one goalie confirmed as of now, and I think that is for Florida. It's Chris Drider. So and it'll likely be James Reimer for Carolina. So I'm going to go, this game here, I'm just going to take under the total here.
Is there anything you like here, Dave, from the side or total standpoint?
Not especially, but some things worth mentioning. Carolina winning in the shootout on Saturday. Phenomenal game. Very exciting. The Panthers again getting in trouble early on. They just continue to fall behind in the first period. And yet they're 5-1-2 in games after they trail, when they trail after the first period. They're also 6-0 off a loss this season. So I don't think I want to go against those numbers, but I think they made the price about right. It's moved now. Panthers, it's basically pick 'em. I'm nowhere in the game. I think I lean to Carolina. I think maybe Florida finally loses 2 in a row, but it's not going to be a bet for me.
Yeah, what I find personally is that these two teams, they've both played kind of the top tier teams in their division. Right now, you look at recency, and the most recent matchups for them. They haven't really had any walks in the park recently. Both of them have played some pretty tough competition, some pretty tough games. And to Dave's point, now we're looking at seeing a Florida team. Will they lose 2 games in a row? Now, if you ask me, I think Carolina is the better team. And I have not had great success betting against Florida. I'll be completely honest with that. But I do feel like over time, the tougher the competition that this Florida team plays in a short period, it's going to bite them a little bit. That scoring will go away a little bit. They'll have to, focus more on their defense. And when it comes down to games like that, I trust Carolina just a little bit more. So my slight lean here would be to Carolina, because if this falls into a defensive game and goes under the total, like Carmine says, I think that means Carolina comes out on top. If you tell me this game's a 5-4 game, give me Florida. You tell me it's a 3-2 game, give me Carolina all day long. I feel like they're a better defensive team, and I can trust them just a little bit more than I can probably trust this Florida team, at least defensively. Guys, our next game here is our marquee.
One thing I want to mention is that Florida's got to stop digging this hole for themselves. I mean, The last 2 games are a perfect example. They're down 2 goals in the third period and come back and win. They're down 2 goals again in the third period and come back to force overtime. But you're going to start losing games if you can't break that pattern. So I would be interested. I'm going to be very interested to see how the Panthers come out in the first period in this game. They've got to be aggressive early and stop falling behind, because eventually that's going to start biting them.
If I can add something to that, and Dave makes a good point there, and Prez talked about it on a previous show last week, is that Florida still haven't they still haven't got that capability, or not the desire, but of getting out quick, of playing good games. It's I think the word he used was that winning culture, and they just don't have it yet. Andrew, we've seen it against this Florida team that had to come back against Nashville a couple times to get wins. So I'm still going to lean. To my original point is just because I have the stat here too, is taking unders typically in Carolina games isn't the greatest. They're 11-7. They're the 4th best team over under wise at 61.1%. Andrew, I'm going to throw this to you real quick before you go to the next game. Guess who the top team over under is in the NHL this season?
Top team over under. It's probably going to be a team that gets 5.5s a lot. I'm not sure. Tell me.
It's the Coyotes, 65%, 13-7 to the over this year. So I'm quite surprised by the top 5 teams, which is Arizona, Washington, Philadelphia, Carolina, and San Jose, with those last 3 at 61.1%, Washington at 61.9%, and Arizona at 65% overs. But as you said, you're correct. They get a lot of 5.5s.
Surprised San Jose doesn't go over 100% of the time with their goaltending. My God.
And we'll have to get into that St. Louis display of goaltending, guys, because that was just ridiculous. I haven't seen that since before I could drive. That was pretty crazy. But let's get into our next game, guys. Let's keep things going here. The Toronto Maple Leafs, the Edmonton Oilers, they go head-to-head here again, guys. And, I know Carm is going to have a good laugh with this one because he loves to chirp the Leafs as much as I love to chirp them. But we have to admit it and have to look at it. This team's playing well defensively. They are coming out there, and Austin Matthews was pretty much being relied on to score every game. He was pretty much scoring a goal a game. He misses a game. He has an injury that's been bugging him. There's no point in him being in that lineup because they've been playing so well. Well, who scores? Mitch Marner scores. Tavares scores. The secondary guys, not even secondary guys, but just the other top tier guys find the back of the net. And I think that although those guys are scoring, the addition of a guy like TJ Brody is being huge. Zach Bogosian on the blue line, having a great backup goaltender in Jack Campbell was huge, guys. I mean, first of all, this guy seems like a great guy in the locker room, but he played solid, got a shutout for this team. Now, the Leafs are minus 115, Dave. I'll throw it to you, but you have to think that right now these two teams are playing incredibly competitive, and the Oilers want their number. They want to prove they can be up there with the Leafs. How do they respond and bounce back?
Two hottest teams in the league, or right there with them. Edmonton is, I think, 11-3 in their last 14. The Maple Leafs are rolling. It's a good game. I'd like to know what the lineups look like in this one, because I think that's of some importance. I thought it was a tremendous effort by the Maple Leafs in the game on Saturday. Very even game in terms of the way it played. I mean, it was, to me, a 50-50 game. But actually, you could say Edmonton actually carried more of the play. But the Maple Leafs got the goals. I think I like Edmonton some here. It's probably going to be a pass for me today on the entire card. I don't think I'm going to make a play because I like Edmonton better than anybody else. But I'm not. The price isn't what I want, because I do think the Maple Leafs are the better team and should be favored. So to me, if Edmonton's a dog in this game, I might be considering it more than I am right now at the price about Pick'em. But it's the best game of the schedule tonight, and the one I'm most likely to watch. Therefore, so I'll give you Edmonton, and I'm going to make it my best bet on the show. But as of now, it won't be on my card.
Those are my thoughts exactly, Carm, because if you look at it, I'd expect the odds to be a little bit different, but they're showing some respect to the way this Edmonton Oilers team has been playing. Two very high-scoring teams, two teams with great power plays. I understand the regression we've seen, Carmen. You've been betting on some of these unders, but how do you feel, first of all, about an over spot? And number two, we didn't really see the McDavid-Draisaitl 1-2 punch that much in game one. I definitely expect that here in game two.
Yeah, I know. At first, to your point of me chirping, I only chirp, in all honesty, I only chirp my friends, the Prez, people from the Toronto community that I know about the Leafs. I don't chirp random people on social media about it. It's my friends, and they know why I chirp at it. Because listen, at the end of the day, not to go off on a tangent here, I'm a fan of probably the worst team in the NHL right now. Bar none. Because listen, you can say you look at the Sabres, you look at Detroit, you look at the LA Kings. The LA Kings and Detroit have farm systems and prospects that look good, and there's a future ahead for those teams. I don't see a future for the Buffalo team. But getting back to this game, this is the first game that McDavid has not registered a point against the Leafs this season. He was a -3 in this game. But yet, like Dave said, I didn't look at the Corsi numbers or Fenwick numbers for that game. I usually sort of enter in all my box scores after the game. I didn't do the weekend games to see how that game played out. But to me, it seemed like an even game. As far as Matthews goes for the Leafs tonight, he practiced yesterday. He was on the ice, so we'll see how that wrist responds. But I'm going to guess they won't make an announcement until later on in the day, or a game time decision, to say the least. As far as totals go, I would likely lean to the under 6.5 here. I think of the games that they've played so far, I think three of the 5 games have gone under the 6.5. If it's correct. To Dave's point about Edmonton, yeah, listen, these are two very hot teams. I know the Leafs won the first one, but this one could easily go Edmonton's way tonight. And I think I would love for Matthews to get named to the lineup much earlier, because that might bring in a little bit of Leafs money, which would give me a better price on Edmonton to split these two games.
And Dave mentioned about looking, Carm, at the price here, hoping it would be a little more of an underdog spot. I just wanted to mention on this show in particular, Draisaitl right now to get over 1.5 points, plus 130. McDavid to score a goal, plus 110. Draisaitl to score a goal, plus 125. So it's a sport where there's 4 lines. There's a bunch of guys out there on the ice, but we know how good this team is when those 2 players play an impact on the game. So I thought that was a pretty good price there. McDavid over 1.5 points at plus 130. It's a pretty good number. And I feel like if they're successful and if you like them, the prop market might be a pretty good option here for this game. Any thoughts on that, guys?
No, I don't look at props.
I'm going to leave the props up to you, Andrew. You do extremely well with them. I dabble on them every once in a while, but it's mostly when there's like a 2 or 3 game night scheduled. The bigger cards, I kind of stay away from them.
All right, Carm, I'm going to go to you with the Canucks and the Jets. The Jets have certainly worked their way up the rankings. They've definitely proven that they're playing good defensively and their offense is picking it up. But I feel like they've gone back to the Vezina winning Connor Hellebuck. I mean, this guy is keeping it rock solid. They're coming off 2 wins against my favorite team, which I'm not too happy about. But what they proved is whether it's a blowout game, whether they're down 3 goals, whether it's an overtime, they're finding a way to win. I always love looking over box scores, looking over betting sheets and seeing, first of all, what was the price on this team when they won or lost? And secondly, like Dave's been checking a lot of the first periods, I look at how did this game unfold? Because for the Jets right now, they've won a lot of games, Carm, that they haven't been leading in for the majority of the game.
Yeah, no, I get it. Listen, when you look at these 2 teams and, when I saw the lineup for tonight or today's show, I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Vancouver and the Jets. I don't want to talk about Vancouver and the Jets, but we're talking about Vancouver and the Jets. And listen, we talked about it hasn't been, whether it's his fault or whether it's the team's fault, hasn't been a great first season for Holtby on this team right now. He's not doing well for Vancouver. But you look at sort of the flip side of it, and Hellebuck is having a fantastic season. I think he's 10-5 right now. His ERA and his save percentage is very good right now. And then you look at one other thing, which is when I looked at the numbers between these 2 teams, talk about owning a team. The Jets have owned Vancouver over the past few years. That win by Vancouver, I think at the beginning of this season, was the first in 14 games. The Jets are 13-1 their last 14 against this Vancouver team, and 17-3 their last 20 against this team. Those are numbers sometimes you can't ignore, although I understand different seasons, different players, but sometimes you just own a team. The under 13-2 with a total of 6.5. I can't wrap my head around the 6.5 in this game today when I saw that number. I have to believe that that's going to be 6 by game time. If it's 6.5 to that number, the total is 13-2 to the under. So if you're asking me where I'm leaning in this game, I'm not taking a side, but I will go with the total and the under.
Carmine under Bianco. That's a new nickname for you these days, Carm. You've been finding the spots, and the stats definitely prove it. They're right there. I mean, I thought it was impressive to look at 7-3. Last 10 have gone under. It looks like you have a lot larger of a scale, and a lot of it plays into the power plays. Power plays weren't really too strong between these 2 teams. I think it's hard to ignore fading this Vancouver Canucks team. A lot of people right now are fading the Montreal Canadiens. I just feel like it's one game, the Vancouver Canucks score goals, and their defense collapses. And another game where they play good defense and they can't score goals. The cohesion with them isn't good, and Winnipeg is slowly but surely working their way up the standings, Dave.
Yeah, I didn't think Winnipeg was any good coming into the season, but they're proving me wrong to some extent. And, they're taking advantage of the opportunities to beat the bad teams. And Vancouver certainly qualifies on that count. Some alarming numbers on the Canucks. They're 0-12 when they fall behind 1-0. They're 0-10 when they're trailing after one period. Once they fall behind, it's pretty much done. They can't come back. I think the coach is probably going to get fired at some point. It might not be his fault because this team, they have some personnel issues, to put it mildly. But, the coach is usually the one who gets held responsible for that. And I think it's getting close in Vancouver where there might be a change. Honestly, I think that seat's the hottest in the NHL right now, in my opinion. This game's interesting from a standpoint of the betting action because Winnipeg opened about 145 here, and it's been bet down some. So there are still non-believers as far as the Jets are concerned. And I guess I fall into that category as well from the standpoint of I'm not going to be laying prices with this team. Even at $1.30, I don't want to lay it. But I don't want any part of the Canucks right now. I think they're a sinking ship, and they're just a team to either fade or stay away from.
It's funny because I'm like quite the opposite, Carm. I looked at this and said, geez, this is a bargain based off of how we've seen Winnipeg over a long-term play against this Vancouver team. Would you agree? Like, how do you feel about the price?
I feel the exact same way as Dave does. Regardless of one team owning another, my opinion of the Jets really hasn't changed from the beginning of the season. I didn't think they were a team that would finish top 4 in this division and make the playoffs. If you asked me at the beginning, I think I said, the Leafs, Edmonton, Calgary, and Montreal would be the 4 teams. Those are still the 4 teams I see making it. This Winnipeg team would have to play with the same consistency and get some very good goaltending right through the. I'm not sure how long with that workload Hellenbuck can hold up. Am I going to lay 140 on this team, 145, even though they own another team? No, I'm not going to, because at some point, Vancouver still has scoring. At some point, they're gonna win some games. This one's a complete pass, other than the total for me.
Well, I'll be watching this, guys, because right now Vancouver has one more win than the Ottawa Senators has. One more win than the last place team, the Ottawa Senators, that everybody loves to kind of crap on. And Vancouver isn't really too far ahead of them right now. Let's get into our dump or chase game. Speaking of the Ottawa Senators, they're taking on the Calgary Flames tonight in a matchup where people are wondering, will we see an upset? Will we see some type of competitiveness? Because we've seen Ottawa come out and absolutely shock the world. I mean, sometimes they're not just upsetting right now. They're putting up some numbers here. The number is -150. We're talking about prices today, so why don't we just keep on going with it? Dave, do your numbers say this is a bet on spot here? Because to me, it's actually dog or pass.
No. Absolute easy pass. Maybe the easiest pass on the board for me. I made the line 150, and it's 150. So, next. Well, I don't know. That's if the price is right.
On to the next one. Well, okay, let's look at it like this, Carm. One game was 6-1. The next one was followed up by a 6-3. All right. Obviously, Calgary bounced back. Obviously, they knew what they had to change. They had to score goals, obviously. That was one thing they had to change. But, I mean, I worry about Calgary's defense right now. Markstrom looked so good. They had good defense. They had a good goaltending tandem. But I think it's time for us not to sleep on the Ottawa Senators right now from an offensive standpoint. Because if you look at it from a large scale, sure, they don't look too talented. But past 3 or 4 games, they've been able to compete. And Drake Batherson has, 5 straight games with a goal. Norris is playing well. I mean, they have some guys that can score.
Yeah, the price is where it should be. I will say this about the Flames is that, that game that they lost in Ottawa, you could really look at that could have been and was a flat spot for that team. They were coming off 2 very physical games and tough games in Toronto. And that was on the heels of a game where they got blown out in Edmonton, 7-1, came to Toronto and had to play 2 tough games where they beat the Leafs 3-0 and arguably should have won the second game. The Leafs got a late goal, I think, when they pulled their goalie to send that to overtime and then beat the Flames 2-1. And then they've got to play their 3rd and 4th nights against Ottawa, and they laid a complete egg 6-1, but they looked much better the next game. They came out, scored 3 in the first period, looked much better, and won that game 6-3. I think the one interesting thing here is these teams are playing 4 games, right? So this is a 4-game set. 3rd one is tonight. Calgary will have a couple days off after tonight's game. Ottawa has to go to Montreal and play Montreal tomorrow. And because of the situation with Hoberg injured as a backup goalie, you have two choices. You have Murray, and you have their taxi squad goalie, Joey Decord. Now, Andrew, you know the rivalry between Ottawa and Montreal, and these are now Ottawa's got to play back-to-back games. Did they start Joey Decord? It hasn't been named yet. It's supposed to be Murray and Decord tomorrow in Montreal, but I wouldn't put it past me for Ottawa to play Decord tonight and save Murray for tomorrow night against Montreal, and then take a day off and then play on Thursday. So I would say look throughout the day and see when a goalie is named, but it's a much better prospect for the Flames to be playing, even though I think they'll win tonight, to be playing against that taxi squad goalie in the court, because he's only really made 2 NHL appearances. So that's my take on that. Do I want to lay 150? Likely not. I would look at the Flames in regulation time.
That's a great point by Carm as far as making sure you check the lineups, make sure you check out these starting goaltenders, because right now it's frustrating. I'm sure, Dave, you've been experiencing this as well. It's frustrating to get the lineup information as late as we're getting it for some of these games. It's tough to deal with.
There's nothing you can do about it, so you just have to put up with it.
Definitely. And Carm mentions the 3 games in 4 nights. It's actually a huge angle, and I've been following that a lot more these days. Some teams really struggle in that third game. You can tell it's lack of mental toughness, lack of a lot of fatigue. So it's actually a great stat that I've been following as far as these guys that are playing a lot of games in a short period of time. And I talk about a lack of information. We actually don't have confirmed goaltenders right now for our barn burner segment here. The St. Louis Blues and the Anaheim Ducks. The total set at 5.5. Carmine mentioned the Coyotes out the gate. They're the best over team, he said. And we always get 5.5 with them. Now we see 5.5 with the Ducks team that, if I stuck with what I said at the start of the year for playing pretty much every Ducks game under, I could have a down payment on a house for me and my girlfriend. But so far, I haven't done that. But you look at this St. Louis Blues team, right now it's been absolutely ridiculous to look at the way that they've been falling emotionally. It's been one game a collapse, one game they come back. I had them in regulation, their last game, and they put up a touchdown. They put up 7 goals on the game. Guys, I'll go to you. Dave, I'm going to start with you, because that was just a ridiculous game. And the way that finished, I haven't seen a game like that in a really long time.
That game was nuts. It was a lot of fun to watch because the goaltending was awful. Excuse me. Binnington got pulled after the 4th goal and got a penalty on his way off the ice as he bumped into one of the Sharks and got in unsportsmanlike conduct, and they tried to start a fight with the San Jose goaltender, which he would have lost, by the way. I mean, Devin Dubnyk's a lot bigger than he is, so that would not have been a smart move. The Blues are a mess. They've got a lot of injury issues. You know, it's not just Tarasenko. Schwartz is out. Parenko's out. Gunnarsson got hurt, and he's going to miss the rest of the season. It's not, going into this season, the obvious consensus was, well, we've got 3 teams that we know are going to qualify in the Pacific, Colorado, Vegas, and St. Louis. And it's going to be a battle for the 4th spot. You got the wrong team in the 3rd spot, because the Minnesota Wild are the 3rd best team in the division. And I think that's legitimate, by the way. The Blues probably...
The Blues are 500 right now.
They're playing well. The Blues are probably the favorite to get the 4th spot, but that's about it. They're just not very good at anything right now. I think Anaheim's got a real shot in this game tonight. The Blues are still getting priced, not to the extent where they were getting priced at the start of the season, but this game, what is St. Louis doing to justify being a $1.40 favorite? The Ducks are not good, but they battle like crazy. They actually play pretty smart. I think the Ducks have a good chance in this game. If you're looking for an underdog on the board tonight, I would consider Anaheim.
I apologize to you there, Dave. I didn't mean to cut you off or anything. I was just shouting out that they are a 500 team. They are, they're batting 500 right now in the season with 2 overtime losses. They have an even record as far as wins and losses go. So I'm right there in the same boat as you, Dave. I was like, yep, easy. We got the 1, 2, and 3, and then the 4th is going to be up for grabs. Not really. That this team is not third spot, that's for sure. But Carm, they're coming off that game. It was 7-6 of the finals. All their games below that, they weren't scoring 1 goal. They scored 0 goals, 0 again. They've been really up and down. Anaheim is sure shot under team, but I actually have a lean to the over. I feel like I don't trust the Blues defensively still, but I feel like they're going to get it going offensively.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of taking Anaheim overs. I understand. And sometimes there's an overreaction to seeing a game like that 7-6 game against for the Blues against. And that's a game that they needed to win. They needed a win as bad as you can get. And they came back from being down 4 times in that game to get that win. But you look at the games they played this season, they've only played twice. Both games were in Anaheim, 6-1 and 4-1 score lines. I want to lean to the under here at 5.5. The Ducks are the second best under team, tied with the New York Islanders at 65%, 13-7 to the under. Andrew, can you tell me who the best team as far as unders go this season in the NHL?
Tell me.
Oh, the Rangers.
I'm not a good guesser. Rangers. The Rangers.
The Rangers, 13. And you knew this one. Come on. 68.4 to the under, the Rangers.
I didn't want to cheat. Carmine might have slipped me the test answers before the show. He might have gave me the test answers.
Yes. I gave Andrew the test answers and he still failed, which kind of reminds me of a story which I'll tell on another show. Before we get into the best bet segment, Andrew, I do want to let the viewers out there know that we have a special up, Andrew and I. This is a March special. You can get a 30-day all sports, all access package for only $249 when using the code BIG100. So that's 30 days, all sports, all access. BIG100 is the coupon code for that at checkout. So if you head over to WagerTalk.com, you click on either one of our capper pages, select from the drop-down menu, 30 days, all sports, all access, and you can get 30 days for $249 instead of the regular $349. Right back to you, Andrew.
Yep, 30 days for $249, a pretty good deal for us for a 30-day all-access pass. Not just hockey, but every single sport that we deliver. Let's get into our power plays and promotions. I want to really be specific on this. Dave is 14-1 last 5 days in hoops and hockey action. 14-1. And that's not really a small scale. That's not really a 4-1, a 5-1. He's 14-1 combined basketball and hockey, and hitting that plus 2,000 golf winner. That's a way to end a month, Dave. That's a pretty good way to end a month, man. Wish you the best moving forward and tonight with your action. If you have anything up currently to promote, go right ahead. And if not, remind us what your power play was.
I have a best bet in college basketball. So it's $9 Monday at WagerTalk. So it's $9. I also have a free play on the Arizona-Oregon game tonight. So you can check that out on my homepage at WagerTalk, wt.buzz/DC. I do want to mention you have a great special going with Carm. I have a great special going with Ralph Michaels, the stat man, and myself. You can get all of our college basketball right through the national championship game on Monday, April 5th. So you're talking about more than a month. If you were to buy our packages individually, it'd be $738. Right now, and there's no code necessary for this, it's just Dave and Ralph's huge college basketball blowout. You get every selection from Ralph and myself through the national championship game for $299. Not $299 each, $299 for both of us. So it's $150 each. That's a great special. Take advantage of it because, I've got a very good track record in the tournament. So does Ralph. And, I'll just say things are going pretty well right now. It looks like it's going to be a pass for me in the NHL tonight, but the closest I came to a play is the Edmonton Oilers. I talked about earlier. It's just a matter of not getting the right price. That's the only reason I'm not playing the game. But I do like the Oilers to win this game, and if you're looking for one to take a shot with, it'll be Connor McDavid in the guys to get a little revenge for the 4-0 loss. I'll take the Oilers for my best bet.
Dave is red hot right now, guys. Make sure you find his package with the Statman Ralph Michaels at his capper page, wt.buzz/DC. Of course, DC for Mr. Dave Cokin. Promos for me, 5% NHL. Big ticket up for tonight, 15-5 last 20. 5% NHL plays. That's 75% last 20. My NHL 5% plays, full analysis posted with the play. And feeling really good about this one. Feeling pretty good. It stuck out the second I looked at this card, and ready to rock and roll. I hope you guys join me on $9 Monday. Love having these 5% plays on $9 Monday. I hope most of you guys can join me and hop on this play. Best bet is going to be the Blues. And I get it. You can play it in regulation. I get it. It's kind of a steep price, like the boys mentioned, for a team that struggled. Absolutely. No doubt about it. However, if you look at this team and you look at the Ducks, you can see the Ducks have actually gone through hell and back over their past 5 to 8 days. The team that they've played, they played in some competitive games, some games that I still truly don't think they belong even to be hanging around in. And I feel like this Blues team, despite the injuries, because you can look at the grocery list of injuries they have, they are better than what the injuries say. They still have a great lineup. They still have a great power play. And their goaltending will get better. Scoring 7 goals is a good thing because they got it all out of their system. I'm going to just kind of close my eyes as far as the 6 goals allowed and look at that 7 goals scored and think that they're going to just keep that going and keep that positive momentum and start scoring a lot more. I'll go with the Blues as my power play here. Carm, close things off for us, man.
Yes, I am going to close it off with the game we talked about earlier, the Vancouver Canucks Winnipeg Jets game. As much as I'd like to, I'm a big fan of how Minnesota Wild are playing. I said get on them at the start of this streak, and that they've won 6 in a row. But I'm going to go to this game here and the under, because while this game is still at 6.5, I think it should be at 6. The 6.5 under is the play for me. 13-2 to the under between these teams when the total is 6, or to a total of 6.5. They would have gone under 13 of the last 15 times. So with it at 6.5, I'm just taking the under.
And they've definitely been working for you, and your research with those numbers has been outstanding. Always a pleasure doing this show with these guys. Dave, happy to have you here on your usual Monday spot. We'll do a quick recap of the best bets, the power plays here on the Monday slate for our edition of Puck Time. I'm going with the St. Louis Blues, Carmine with the Canucks and Jets under 6, and Dave with the Oilers. Make sure you check out Dave's package with Ralph. Great deal. Both of them are doing very, very well on the college hoops betting markets. And Carmine and I have a great package for 30 days all access. You can get that for just $249, originally $349. For Carmine, for Dave, thank you guys very much for watching us here on Monday's show of Puck Time. We'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, right here on WagerTalk TV.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.